Another difficult afternoon at King Power Stadium, but reasons to be optimistic based on that second half performance. It's a defeat for Leicester and Charlton's first away win since November. Full time at King Power Stadium, and it's finished. Leicester 0, Charlton 2.
Thank you, Charlie. We can see Kingy there just applauding the home supporters that are still in, Jerry. It's fair to say that. Quite a lot have left, haven't they? Which is fairly understandable. You were on co-commentary duty for us. Just talk us through these pictures and the scenes at the end there. Kingy going off, obviously very quickly wanting to get in the dressing room and speak to the lads.
Yeah, as you said, all the Charlton supporters are still in, and as you said, Leicester City supporters are making their way swiftly to the exit. Players are still out on the pitch. As you say, Kingy's raced down the tunnel into the dressing room, so it'd be a hard one for him to take today, Dan. I'd say after that as well, because I thought especially in the second period, I thought Leicester were the better team for large parts, created more chances. Obviously the penalty miss, and I mean, not the start he would have wanted, but at least they showed signs in that second half, especially with the introduction of Harry Winks, who came on and just settled the team down. Then they played some decent stuff without it getting any reward.
There's a few Leicester players still out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Clapping the supporters, which is always a good sign to see, and they look like they're getting a decent round of applause back from who is left in.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't have too many complaints. I think, at the minute it's a bit of an uphill battle anyway, but when you go down to 10 men, it just makes that uphill battle, 10 times worse than it already is. And so all you can do is go and put a performance in. Hopefully something positive happens. So yeah, I mean, it was a decent performance today from the players.
Welcome along to the studio. We've got Steve Howard and Matt Elliott with me, Dan Bates, as we do our best to assess what we have seen there. Matt, I came to you at half time, so Steve, you have the honours now at full time. Jerry softened the blow a little bit there, talking about the game. I guess the second half was better, wasn't it? But overall, it's been a tough afternoon.
I mean, it was a tough ask to begin with, but I think that they came out to try to keep the ball. There's a bit of a bit more positivity, obviously, being down to 10 men. But like Jerry says, it was an uphill task. Even harder especially when you miss a penalty and you just think, if that goes in, it could be in a different story. They're pushing on. But I thought there's bizarrely some positives to take out of that, whereas the second half performance, the way they kept the ball, I think Winks came on. I think he did ever so well when he came on, made things tick. So it was there's definitely some kind of positives for Kingy to take out of that.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough to point out those aspects of the game, but you've also got to be mindful that the fact that Charlton were just seeing that out second half. Really, they didn't need to be expansive at all. They were just solid. And listen, you're right with the penalty. If that came about, I mean, it's naive defending. There wasn't actually a lot in it. Fato's gone down, ref's given it. That was an opportunity to scrape something out of this game, but unfortunately, that's the way it's going right now. I always fancy Ayew from the spot. I mean, he's quite confident there, quite clinical normally, but wasn't to be, and you knew it wasn't your day when that didn't go in. And yeah, the second half just petered out, really, didn't it? Although I think it's fair comment that Leicester gave a decent account of themselves in the second half, it's fair to say.
Even straight after the penalty was missed, Leicester looked good, didn't they? They were really on the front foot, and you just think, had that gone in, that momentum would have just carried on even more.
I think so. I can't remember Stolarczyk having a save to make, did he?
I don't think so.
In the second half. So, you look at that, and there was a few chances for Leicester. So you think if that penalty goes in, they might have changed the story, but like Matt says, when that penalty hits a post and goes wide, and you just think, today's not your day.
And in fairness, like we're saying, this is not just clutching at straws. I think sort of valid points, but in the day the damage was done.
Yeah.
Probably from the sending off onwards, even before the first goal, the damage was done, and that was so hurtful. That, you know, with the mood around the club at the moment, all that's transpired over the last few months, couple of seasons really, and then the last few weeks, it's been a tough period, and for that to happen, it came out of the blue. You weren't expecting it. You considered all sorts of things that could go wrong. That wasn't one of them you were thinking, and it's just another one to add to the list, unfortunately, and it was hurtful.
Yeah, I guess, Joe, that was quite deflating at the time that happened, wasn't it, the penalty? Because you just thought, oh, if that goes in, you never know what might happen in that second half.
I mean, Charlton were on the back foot. Leicester were in the ascendancy. The crowd were up. The players were playing with confidence. You know, Fatawu, straight from the off in that second half, you know, got at the full-back, got joy on 3-4 occasions down that right-hand side. And obviously gets into the box, gets a penalty, and if that goes in, then Charlton are in panic mode. You know, and we know that they're not the best on the road, haven't been the best on the road this season. And so, even though they're down to 10 men, there is an opportunity. They don't say goals change games for no reason, Dan, and that was an opportunity to potentially change the game.
Thanks, Matthew.
Yes, mate.
Along the lines of what you're sort of saying there and what we've spoken about already, but do you think it's fair comment to say, you know, there's reasons, albeit not that many right now, but reasons to be positive going forward? When you see the sort of reaction today that there was, I know you need that from the off,
yeah,
but some sides would have capitulated properly, wouldn't they? You know, with the way that there's been, you know, disappointment of late, and everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, but they didn't fold, did they? And can you see sort of glimmers or something to work for or work with,
yeah,
for even for Andy King or whoever the next manager is down the line?
Yeah, I think you make a good point there. You know, you go in 2-0 down and a man down at half time, it's easy to, and especially again, you're asking these young players who have come in today to, you know, hold it together. It's unfair,
yeah,
more than anything on them. They're only starting their fledgling careers. It's hard enough coming in as a young player, trying to find your way in a team that's doing well. Never mind, you know, a team like Leicester who are just stuttering a little bit at the moment. So for them then to come out in the second half and put on a performance and play with confidence, then there has to be something to take out of that. You know, the biggest issues for me is Hamza going off injured. Coley's got a red card, that's him, 3-game ban. You're missing Jordan James. You're missing Ollie Skep. Yes, Harry Winks is back in the fold. For how long, we don't know. But, I mean, your midfield is a little bit sparse, to say the least, at the minute. Obviously, I don't know the situation with Vestergaard in regards, but young Aluko coming in alongside Ben Nelson, I mean, the average age is about 6, them, so isn't it? And I'm fair play to the pair of them.
Ramsey as well.
Yeah, you know, fair play to the pair of them, the two lads at the back, 2 centre halves. You know, they can come off with their heads held high today. But yeah, I mean, as far as working with something, yes, he has. But I mean, it's, you know, things in that respect. You know, everyone's going to have to pull together from now.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Bade Aluko actually, Steve, because he did battle hard. Sometimes he was playing centre half, but one minute you'd find him in the left wing position, wouldn't he? But he drove with the ball, he got himself involved, he put himself about.
I like that, you know, and like Jerry says, it's a lot to ask these young lads to come into a side, a side that's performing, never mind a side that's, you know, like hit and miss now and then. But I think the young lads, Aluko was, you know, you pointed out there that, you know, that they're not frightened to Page. He's not frightened to get the ball and command the ball and ask for the ball, which I think is great as a young lad. you know, as an older pro in a side, if you got a young lad coming there and wanting the ball, wants to get on the ball, and you know, yes, he's going to make mistakes, but he's willing to make them mistakes and learn. And I think that's, you know, that's brilliant. And I think with Kingy in there, obviously you can see the young lads, and he's dealt with the young lads before. I think it'll be it's ideal for the young lads to progress and kick on.
Yeah, they're learning in an environment they don't want to be put in.
No.
Really, they don't want to experience that, and people don't want to put them into that. But you don't always get what you want in football. You have to take the rough with the smooth as well, and it's very rarely plain sailing. But they're learning quick, and they're getting many opportunities, more than they would think as well. But I think certain individuals, as is always the case, standing out more than others, and probably those two that you mentioned. Luca, I like him. He seems quite able to play in various positions as well. But he's an athlete, isn't he? He looks a strong boy physically. He can stand up to the test. Quick, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And plenty of attributes, basically, and looks like he has a good attitude as well.
Especially with his
challenge either.
His debut when he gets sent off. You know, you just think, you know,
He actually
you've
did
had
well,
the
didn't he?
Yeah.
You did that game in Southampton,
yeah.
didn't you? Yeah.
Because that could, you know, a young lad, you could go either way there. You could either go, you know, back in your shell. But he's thought, you know what, I'll take that on the chin, I'll learn from that and I'll carry on. Which is, you know.
Yeah, he looks a good character.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to have that versatility as well, playing across back, even better. But yeah, him and Page, decent footballers in an extremely testing environment as well.
Yeah, Harry Winks as well. Jerry had a good game, didn't he?
Harry Winks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was tailor-made to come on. You know, when you're down to 10 men, he was the one player that was on the bench or in the team that would sort of thrive in those circumstances. Basically because he just knows how to make time for himself. He knows how to find space. He doesn't get fazed by being pressured. And so, yeah, you know, Harry Winks did what Harry Winks does. You know, he just makes the game look easy.
Yeah, that's what he's very good at, Matt.
He's a class act, isn't he? And like we said before the game, you know, whatever the rights and wrongs or what your thoughts are on the situation, with Harry Winks not being involved in the squad, never mind the starting lineup, but for quite a long period, it's a big miss, yeah, particularly in this division, regardless of what division really. But yeah, for someone who's considered by many to be too good for the Championship, it's a huge blow when he's not involved. Did he make a difference today? Not in the scoreline, but in the terms of like the level of performance. Yeah, he did, without a doubt. And I don't know, it's something to consider going forward, isn't it? You know, it's not for me to talk about the details of it, but I would say, and most people would probably agree, Leicester are a better team when Harry Winks is in the lineup.
I was just about to say that. You know, when you see him in the squad, it's a better squad.
It's a better feel.
Yeah.
But you know, he showed that today as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll have an influence ongoingly.
Well, I guess that, listen, when there's been a defeat like that, and there's been a few this season, you do have to try and take as many positives or any positives from it. And I think the second half performance probably it is a positive the way they did play.
I think so, because like Matt says, they could have crumbled easily. You know, it could have been 3-4, 5-0, but they didn't. They took, you know, 10 men. They tried to get the ball. They tried to create some opportunities. You know, they tried to get themselves back in the game. When, you know, and that's what I said about Kingy. King can take some kind of positives out of that and think the second half performance is great. I would have loved to have seen that game 11 versus 11, because I think, you know, that
you fancied Leicester today.
I fancied Leicester today, and I think the way they played the second half with 10 men, if they had 11, I think they would have won the game.
Yeah, because in truth, Charlton were no great shakes.
No, not
really.
at all.
It was like a couple of key moments, i.e. the sending off, which, you know, Leicester contributed to their downfall in that instance by a lack of organisation, communication, and then, you know, making the wrong decisions. But like as an individual, i.e. Okoli, but and then it causes a problem. But yeah, I think 11v11, considering the sort of importance that was put on this game, Andy King coming into the role of manager for however long, I think the players would have been determined to do as well as they could. And do you know what? After that initial setback and deflation, which was understandable, they gave a reasonable account of themselves. But the game was done and dusted pretty much by then. But had there been 11-11, yeah, why not? I didn't think Charlton were overly impressive myself, but wasn't to be.
No, and I guess, Jerry, any game of football, if you lose a player after 10 minutes, it is an uphill task from there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not half. And I mean, you know, after when you sort of dissect the goals as well, you know, there was no great football about them, but you know, it was 2 crosses into the box at the end of the day. But what it affords you, especially you know, on that area of the pitch, what it affords you is just that little bit of extra time, little bit of extra space that you wouldn't get if there was 11 players on the pitch. And what I mean by that is the time and the space for, say, for Chambers and Clark to get their head up and play those balls into the box and pick a pass instead of just whipping one in there to see what happens. And that's what it afforded them to do. But, you know, basically the 2 goals came from crosses. But yeah, listen, as far as you stamping your authority on the game, I know it's not impossible. We've seen it many times before where a team with 10 players goes on and wins that game, but it's very few and far between. And especially, you know, when you're talking about Leicester at the minute, it just makes it that little bit more difficult, you know, to try and get a foothold in the game and try and, you know, take control and get on the score sheet.
Simply put, it's a huge week now, isn't it? Heading into that Birmingham game. I guess it maybe suits that it's a full week lead up to that game. Not to forget that it's transfer deadline day Monday. Hopefully, maybe we'll see some incomings there as well. I'm not to know. We don't know. We'll find out Monday, of course. So it's a big week, basically.
It'll be interesting to see if anybody does come in. I mean, we were just talking about it at half time, just saying, I don't know who makes the decisions to bring somebody in or not somebody in if they can, but it'll be nice to see, especially with the injuries we've got, to see if there's any players coming through the door. But like you said, it's a massive week for
on the
King.
training pitch, yeah.
I mean, if he's here or whatever the plan is for him, I'm pretty sure he'll just, you know, stick his flag on the ground and say, well, this is me for the time being. I'm going to set up for the Birmingham game, and they'll work on that and try and take the positives out of the second half, like they played there. So, but a big week. Hopefully they can, you know, start turning a corner and winning some game.
Yeah, big week training pitch-wise, man, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Managers, you know, whatever their situation, are always wanting time on the grass, as they say, with their players, and you know, to get things across. And sure, Andy King will be no different. And it's, you know, it's not a huge bonus, but yeah, it'd be welcome time for him to just try and tweak a few things. There won't be any drastic changes, I don't think, but in terms of preparation as well, like you say, tough fixture that, isn't it? Birmingham away. It's not ideally what you fancy, but it's a game of football and it's there to be won. And you know, go and embrace that challenge. They've got to be brave. They've got to be courageous in these remaining games of the season. I'm sure Andy will inspire that.
Absolutely. That game with Birmingham takes place next week. It is back to the 3 o'clock. Well, I think it's 1 minute past 3. Kick-off on Saturday, so do join us for that on Fox's Hub. We'll be building up to that half an hour before kick-off that game at St Andrews. The game passes will be available, as will new Listen Live monthly passes, with it being the start of a new month, so do tune in with us for that one. Thank you to Jerry Taggart, who was on co-commentary duty for us today, as ever. Thank you to Matt, and thanks to Steve for coming in. 2 games in a row that haven't quite gone to plan for you, so maybe we'll keep that in mind.
Oh, cheers,
in
thanks.
terms of rebooking.
There's a few people we can't rebook. Of late,
always great to have you on. Thanks, Steve. Thank you to everyone who's watched and commented. Hopefully things can get better, and we'll see you in a week's time for that game away at Birmingham. See you then. Bye now.